Kissinger, who, by the way, cannot travel to certain countries because there are warrants out for his arrest for war crimes, okay? And James L. Jones, Obama's national security advisor, says, thank you, congratulations for honoring Dr. Kissinger, says, as the latest national security advisor for the United States, I take my daily orders from Dr. Kissinger, coming through Brent Snowcroft and Sandy Berger. We have a chain of command in the National Security Council, and it still exists today. Excuse me, where's the change? I didn't vote for Henry Kissinger. And these are the same tools that have been in there, were there in the Clinton administration when they stripped our military. And Henry Kissinger's been there since Nixon. He is the architect of the very foreign policy that's gotten us in the mess that we're in now. So what's changed, folks? I submit to you, nothing. But now, away from mundane politics, we're going to talk about UFOs. Let me quickly see a show of hands. How many of you have had or know about someone who has had a UFO experience? Whoa! Whoa. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay. I took a head count ahead of time. We've got about 60 people here, maybe plus or minus. And that looked to be about half of you. Half the people in this audience have had or know of some UFO experience. Now extrapolate that up to the 300 million population of the United States. Half the people in this country know about UFOs. Okay? And I guarantee you that the higher you get, and you get away from the guy in the street, and you get away from the people who just get their information from CNN or Fox, and you start talking to people high in the military, high in intelligence, or in the upper echelons of the political circles, they don't snicker at you about UFOs because they know it's here. And my main message tonight is, if you dismiss the whole topic of UFOs, then folks, you will never ever be able to truthfully understand what's going on in the world because you've just tossed out a big piece of the puzzle. So with that, let me bring you up to speed on UFOs. Some of this is old stuff to some of you, some of it hopefully will be new. Oops, I guess it helps turn it on. Okay, first off, you go back and if you go Google UFOs or go back and look at the newspaper clips, you'll find that since 1947, there's been a literal barrage of information. And yeah, some of them are hoaxes, some of them are deluded people, some of them are strange, you know, but hey, you can discount half of them or more and you still have a significant number of reports. It means there's something going on, okay? Now, early on, the explanation was that there's nothing up there, folks. It's all just hallucinations or some sort of group psychosis. Well, you know, even as a young reporter, I thought, oh, wait a minute. A heretofore undiagnosed, contagious mass psychosis. Whoa, what a story. But you don't see that anymore, do you? And you've never seen anything about that because it's not true. And you don't ever hear these explanations anymore. But why? Because now with YouTube and the computer, there's not a day goes by that somebody's not posting photographs and film and camera snapshots of a UFO. So obviously you can't take a picture of an hallucination or of a psychosis. So that explanation, you don't hear that anymore. So today it's, oh, well, it's just misidentified aircraft or satellites or the planet Venus, or probably it's secret government test craft, okay? So I always thought, well, wouldn't it be great if there was a really documented story of a UFO that occurred before any of that was in the air? And you know what? There is. And of course, it all got started with Kenneth Arnold, 1947, and that got the whole flying saucer thing going, but they all said, well, it's just misidentified aircraft. Well, it was recorded in Aurora, Texas. Here's the story that appeared in the Dallas Morning News, April the 19th, 1897. 6 years before the Wright brothers flew. 6 years before the first powered balloon flight in the United States, the California era. About 6 o'clock this morning, the early riser of Aurora was astonished at the sudden appearance of the airship which had been sailing through the country, traveling due north and much nearer the earth than ever before. Evidently some of the machinery is out of order because it's making a speed of only 10 or 12 miles an hour. Think about that, 10 or 12 miles an hour. Anybody know about aviation? Anybody know about lift? It's not airspeed, is it, Kevin? You can't stay in the air at 10 or 12 miles an hour, so there had to be something else going on. It sailed directly over the public square, and when it reached the north part of town, collided with the tower of Judge Proctor's windmill and went to pieces with a terrific explosion, scattering debris over several acres of ground, wrecking the windmill and water tank, and destroying the judge's flower garden. Shame, shame. The pilot of the ship is supposed to have been the only one on board, and while his remains are badly disfigured, enough of the original have been picked up to show that he was not an inhabitant of this world. Whoa! And there's a picture of the little tombstone because he was buried in the Aurora Cemetery. And there's a photograph of the little headstone, so you'll know that I'm not just making this up. And when I got onto this story in 1973, that headstone was still there. And it was very interesting because, as you can see here, we put a chalk outline on the little design that was etched in it. And you see this inverted V with little circles along the center of it. Now, so far, I'm trying to deal with conspiracy facts. People accuse me of being a conspiracy theorist, okay? I sometimes bristle at that because I try to explain, if you can prove something, it's not a theory, all right? But now, here's a theory. I was under the impression, because you can see that this side of it kind of rounded, and then it's broken off here in the middle. So I was kind of under the impression when I was looking at it that it looks like half of it may have been broken off at some point, and you're only seeing half of what the original headstone was. So if you extrapolate the thing over to here, and you duplicate and reverse this, what have you got? You've got a saucer-looking object with little portholes running along the side, okay? But did it happen? In 1973, there were 3 people still alive who were alive in the Aurora area in 1897. One of them said it was a hoax. One of them, Mary Evans, said, no, I remember my folks talking about it. I remember hearing the explosion, but they wouldn't let me go into town because I was only about 12 or 13 years old. But they came back and told me about it. So she says it actually happened. Then we got Charlie Stevens, who I talked to, and he actually saw the thing. And he said he saw it going over, and he said he heard an explosion, he saw the smoke coming up from town, and that young boy, he wanted to run up and see what had happened. Now, if Charlie was making up this story, what do you think he would say? He said, I ran out of town, I saw these pieces, and I saw this little green guy, and he'd give you this big story. No, that's not what he told me. What he told me struck me as very truthful. He said his dad told him, no, son, we can't go to town, we have to finish the chores. Now think about it, folks. 1897, rural Texas, if you didn't do the chores, you didn't eat. So I think that was a very truthful statement. So now you got Mary Evans, who was there, said it happened. You got Charlie Stevens, who was there, and he said it happened. And then you got this fella, Robert Brown, who found this odd thing in the 80s that he claimed was a piece of the spaceship, except you can see how crudely made it is. I don't think this was a piece of the spaceship, but what's interesting is 2 pieces of metal banded together with this wire, and inside you can kind of see this copper-looking stuff. I think that maybe in the middle was a piece of the original spaceship, but we don't know, and he wouldn't give it up to go have it tested, so again, it's just a we don't know. Here's the original Dallas Morning News story. And so the 2 people there out of the 3 said it actually happened. Now the argument is, well, it was just a hoax story planted in the newspaper. Well, okay, that's possible, and I kind of bought into that for a long time until I got